Hello, and welcome to this week's Midweek Connection. My name is Pastor Todd Jordan, and I serve as senior pastor here at Strawbridge United Methodist Church. We are so glad that you joined us today. We're in the middle of Lent. We actually just started it about a week or so ago, and it should have started with Ash Wednesday. Well, Lent did start with Ash Wednesday. We should have had a worship service on that day, but as you may recall, we were frozen and had no power that week. So what I thought I would do, since I spent last week's midweek connection talking a little bit about Lent in general, I thought I would start talking about what I was going to say on Ash Wednesday. And I was going to look at Mark chapter 1, verses 21 through 28. So I'd like to read that and just kind of share one of the points from my message for you to consider this week. Mark 1, 21 through 28 reads as follows. They went to Capernaum, and when the Sabbath came, Jesus entered the synagogue and taught. They were astounded at his teaching, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. Just then there was in their synagogue a man with an unclean spirit, and he cried out, "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." But Jesus rebuked him, saying, "Be silent and come out of him." And the unclean spirit, convulsing and crying with a loud voice, came out of him. They were all amazed, and they kept on asking one another, "What is this? A new teaching with authority. He commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him." At once his fame began to spread throughout the surrounding region of Galilee. So what happens is Jesus and his disciples have come across this synagogue, and in the synagogue is a man with an unclean spirit. Uh, you might say he's possessed. Now, usually when we say the word possessed or possession, we think about scary movies like The Exorcist or others. And I suppose that's one way to look at it, but this is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about sci-fi horror here. We're talking about the kind of stuff that you and I struggle with every day. We may not use the term possession or unclean spirit, but there are things within us that are not godly that drive us. We use the term today, as a matter of fact, quite frequently to speak of the inner demons that someone can have, those psychological, emotional, and or spiritual ailments, which have a pejorative effect upon us, that we give permission to remain in us, out of fear that facing them will be worse than simply tolerating them. So I want you to think now about what are those unclean spirits, which may haunt or possess you. Again, I'm not talking about the spooky Hollywood version. I'm talking about those things that that are habits, that are addictions, that are those things in our life that drive us in unhealthy ways. Sometimes we're conscious of them, sometimes we're not. And they can debilitate our sense of peace, they can impact our relationships, and stunt our spiritual growth. If allowed to flourish unchecked, our inner demons can lead to dangerous, illegal, unethical, uh, expensive, or even destructive habits. They skew our perspective, making it seem as though unhealthy influences are good, reasonable, and normal, while healthy ones are often seen as threats. And so, inner demons, they can be an addiction, they can be a bad habit, they can come as guilt from past mistakes, shame from a current bad habit, old or an unprocessed wound of something that happened maybe years ago, maybe even our childhood, that still impacting us now, and can come across as depression, resentment, unfulfilled desire, irrational fear, or something else. They can also seem relatively harmless or normal to us and yet haunt us all the same, like the need to be perfect can be an inner demon, or the need to be right, um, feeling that I'm not good enough, or trying to please others can also be a form of an inner demon. So I want you to take some time this week and reflect and examine your own heart and ask yourself, what are the things that are there that you should not give permission to be there? Or if you're not aware of any, maybe go to God in prayer and say, God, reveal to me that which I'm not facing or don't want to face in order that I might own it, confess it, and give it up to you for healing. My prayer is that this week you will discover something that is not right, give it to God, and be healed and freed from it. May God bless you, and I'll see you Sunday.